Thursday kicks off with the JLT Novices chase, and it sees the return of to the festival of York Hill, who was imperious when winning the Neptune last year. He was one of the most striking winners of the festival last year. The world seemed to be at his feet. He went to Aintree and got the job done, albeit in quirky fashion. They got greedy and went to Punchestown. He got beat then, and then he hasn't looked like the superstar I thought he might do this season. And at 7-4, Tanya, do you think he is a vulnerable favourite?
Nice lay, lovely lay. He beat Jet last time out, didn't he?
Yeah.
And everyone, they go through the motions of clipping him because he wins. And I think this is handy because I can lay him at shorter. Because I thought that Jet was in a lovely proximity to him. Like you may have said that you want to take on Might Buy. I'd like to want to take on him. And I was like really, really fortunate to be at Musselburgh watching the big screen at Sandown. And what was catching my eye, I was thinking, who's that in the Simon Minier colours reeling in Baron out? Oh, of course, that's Top Notch. And he was so taking. He's developing and becoming a better horse, while York Hill is still feeling the effects of going to the World too often.
Yeah.
Last season. It doesn't mean that he's a bad horse. He just probably needs a little bit of a rest. Or am I degrading Jet, who could be a lovely horse himself? So I'm a big top-notch person in this. Huge top-notch person.
Me?
Go on, Bill. I'll let you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree on the York Hill. I mean, when York Hill beat Yamworth in the Neptune last year, it was a huge gamble. Everyone on the track wanted to be with York Hill, and he created this aura and this reputation of, people saying he'll win the Champion Hurdle next year, and he hasn't impressed over fences so far. But yet, as Tarn says, his price is shortened every time because people know he'll be another Mullins, Ruby Walsh-ridden hot pot on the opening day of the third day of the meeting. Opening race. You've got the problem you have for me with York Hill is his price. He's just too short. He's just too short for something that's achieved. He's probably the most likely winner. And he's probably capable of going on any ground, unlike some of the others. The only thing I worry with Top Notch is the ground. If the ground became quite quick, whether he's the same horse on a faster surface.
On soft. Champion Hurdle was
it's
a tremendous run.
The key to him as a novice hurdler was his soft ground, because he was a very, very good horse on soft ground. I'm just saying, I worry if the ground became quite good. I mentioned in a previous video, the one horse I love in this, if he turns up, is Coney Island. I thought the form of his 2.5 mile Grade 1 win early in the season in Ireland was as good as you can get. Switched off in behind, played very late, ran all the way to the line. I worry that the weakness of the RSA will lead his connections to go there, but I do love Coney Island if he turned up here. I don't think he will. I've got a feeling they'll go RSA chase. I think the most likely winner of these is probably Politolog, Paul Nicholls. I was
hoping you were going to say that. I mean, don't forget, he beat Royal Vacation, absolutely thrashed him. And you'd have got him as a certainty to the RSA.
Do you not think Politolog is a horse that's crying out for 3 miles, and Paul Nicholls is determined not to put him over that trip till next year? He's looking after him, running him over.
No, I think that the thing about a 2.5 mile race around Cheltenham is I don't mind a horse that's crying out for 3 miles in a race like that.
Okay, that's fair point.
I'd rather have a horse that's crying out for 3 miles than one that's a 2 miler. I think he's pretty good. And the other thing is that this is one of the, Paul Nicholls hasn't got that strong a squad, and this is an all-in for him. I think this is his genuinely best chance of a big winner at the meeting. I think he'll run really, really well, but I'll stick with Coney Island. I hope he'll run here, and I hope he'll win.
The one thing about Politolog is he's owned by John Hales, who likes to have a big say anyway. So if he says he's going for this race, he'll go for this race. And I, from all the vibes I'm getting, I think he's a definite player. Out of the handicaps, he's probably Paul Nicholls' best chance of a winner at the meeting. I also agree with Tanya saying about York Hill. Hasn't been in quite the same sort of form. He hasn't really convinced over fences for me. He was very good as a hurdler, as we know. But the other thing, you cannot underestimate what Willie Mullins does with these horses. He seems to do it every year.
Every single year.
Turns horses around from looking jaded and lacklustre to suddenly champions.
Yeah, I'd say on the York Hill thing is that if he'd been pulling up trees at home, I think he'd be in the Champion Hurdle.
I think he'd be favoured for the Champion Hurdle.
I just get the vibe that he's not quite the horse over fences that they think he wants to be.
I was rather put off, and I agree with Tony about Top Notch. I was rather put off because people said how small Top Notch is, you know, but he's Formula Champion hurdle. He's head and shoulders the best horse in the race.
You represent the small man, though.
I am the small man.
Standing up for
In the
him.
weighing room, I was a small man. When he won at Sandown, I went up to him, stood up next to him in the paddock. I'll tell you, he's a good 16-1. He's not as small as... He might be small compared to a lot of Nicky Henson's strapping big 3-mile chasers. But he's proved he loves fences. He's proved he's got the heart for it. And the most important thing is, he's proved he can do it here at the festival. And I think he's a massive player. He's going to be my selection.
Disco. Discuss. Is this the likely target? Because his jumping was fantastic last night.
He was very good.
From Al Duke line of form with Cooney Island, all of them in together in Ireland.
Yeah.
For their final battle, for him to come out on top and come out well on top.
Yeah.
I thought at 13-2, 7-1, he looked a very interesting price.
Yeah, this looks the most likely starting point because he won over this trip in Ireland last time. Noel Mead, whether I'm quite having winning a race like this, the problem with Disco is he may just end up setting it up for someone else. I mean, he could commit for home a long way out, and
there's going to be a lot of pace on him.
There will.
It's going to be ridden handy. You know, there's a few of them. Disco will make the running.
Yeah, well, you have to travel in a race like this.
I think we've gone round in circles with it a bit, but I think the one thing that's brought us all together is we agree that this favourite is too short a price, and it is one that we want to take on.
At that price.
At 7-4, he is a lay.
Yeah.
For me, I would side with Disco.
I'm definitely Top Notch. I love the horse.
Top Notch.
Coney Island, please. Please run. If not, please look.
Top Notch.
Top Notch. Well, there we go. I must admit, I love little Top Notch. I would love to see him win as well. But we're at the festival. You know where we are. We're on the rails. We're in tats. Please come and see us. We'll make sure you're more than well looked after.